Commander Jiwoo stood on the bridge of the ESS Pathfinder, watching the massive ring structure of the Galactic Concord headquarters grow larger on the view screen. After decades of sending signals into space, humanity had finally received an answer 3 years ago. Now they were about to make history as Earth's first diplomatic mission to the galactic community. "Nervous?" asked Taemin, her science officer, standing beside her. "Wouldn't you be?" Jiwoo adjusted her uniform collar. Humanity's future depends on making a good impression. The ship slowed as it approached the designated docking area. Strange. Vessels of various designs surrounded them, some organic-looking, others geometric and precise. Jiwoo had studied the briefing materials extensively, but seeing the diversity firsthand was overwhelming. "Incoming transmission," announced Communications Officer Han.A being appeared on screen with iridescent scales and 3 eye stalks that moved independently. "Greetings, representatives of Earth. I am High Counselor Vex. The Concord welcomes you." Jiwoo bowed slightly. "Thank you for inviting us, High Counselor. We are honored to represent Earth." Over the next week, Jiwoo and her team met representatives from many of the 37 member species. Some looked almost human, while others defied description. They were welcomed with curiosity but kept at a noticeable distance. Jiwoo couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. During formal meetings, she noticed how conversations would stop when humans approached. Species that were openly hostile to each other would exchange knowing glances when discussing Earth. The diplomatic reception on their 5th day brought things to a head. Jiwoo was speaking with a plant-like diplomat when Vex approached with a group of council members. "Commander Jiwoo, the council has reviewed your petition," Vex announced. "We have reached a decision regarding Earth's status." Jiwoo straightened. "We appreciate your swift consideration." "Earth is granted observer status," said Vex. "This includes trade rights, cultural exchanges, and access to non-restricted technology." Jiwoo smiled. "That's excellent news. Thank you. However," Vex continued, "there is one condition. Humans are expressly forbidden from participation in any military action involving Concord species or space." The smile faded from Jiwoo's face. "I don't understand. No other observer species has such a restriction." "This is non-negotiable," said another council member, a tall being with gray skin. "May I ask why?" Jiwoo pressed. "Earth has peaceful intentions." The council members exchanged looks that Jiwoo couldn't interpret. "It is for the best," Vex said finally. "The agreement will be sent to your ship for review." Later that evening, Jiwoo paced her quarters, reading the agreement again. The military restriction stood out like a sore thumb. What made humans different? What were they hiding? A soft chime at her door interrupted her thoughts. "Enter," she called. The door slid open to reveal a tall, bird-like being with midnight blue feathers. She recognized him from the diplomatic meetings, but hadn't spoken with him directly. "Commander Jiwoo," he said in a low voice. "I am Tark, senior diplomat of the Avis Collective. May I come in?" Jiwoo nodded, curious. Once the door closed, Tark's formal demeanor changed. "I am taking a great risk by coming here," he said, "but I believe you deserve to know why the Council fears your kind." "Fears us?" Jiwoo was surprised. "We have barely left our solar system. Most species here have been spacefaring for thousands of years. It is not your technology they fear," said Tark. "It is your nature." "I don't understand." Tark moved closer. "There are records, ancient records, that few have access to. Your species reminds the elders of something they have tried very hard to forget." "What are you saying?" "The Council believes that humans are dangerous not for what you are now, but for what you might become." Tark handed her a small data crystal. "This contains access codes to the historical archives. Look for records of the Scourge Wars. Then you will understand." Before Jiwoo could ask more questions, Tark was gone, leaving her staring at the crystal in her palm and wondering what terrible secret lay in humanity's past, a past that predated human history itself. Science Officer Taemin stared at the small data crystal Tark had given to Jiwoo. The commander had explained her strange meeting with the avian diplomat and handed over the mysterious device. "Can you access it safely?" Jiwoo asked, watching Taemin turn the crystal in his fingers. "I think so." Taemin connected the crystal to an isolated terminal. "If there's anything dangerous, this system isn't linked to our main computers." The screen flickered to life, displaying ancient symbols that slowly translated into readable text. Access codes appeared, along with navigation instructions to the Concord's historical archives. "This is incredible," Taemin whispered. "These are high-level access credentials. Tark risked a lot giving us this." They waited until the middle of the station's night cycle before using the codes. Jiwoo and Taemin slipped through empty corridors to a secluded terminal in the visitors' archives section. "Here goes nothing," Taemin said, entering the access. Codes. The screen changed, revealing a database far more extensive than the public archives they'd been shown. Taemin searched for Scourge Wars, as Tark had suggested. Thousands of files appeared. The earliest dated back over 50,000 years. "That's before human civilization," Jiwoo noted. "Before we even developed agriculture." They opened the first file. A holographic recording appeared above the terminal. The footage showed devastating battles between various species. Most fought with energy weapons and vehicles that hovered above strange landscapes. But one group fought differently. They used more primitive weapons but moved with shocking speed and adaptability. Their tactics seemed unpredictable, even chaotic, yet devastatingly effective. "Can you enhance the image of those fighters?" Jiwoo asked. Taemin zoomed in. Both gasped. The warriors looked human. "That's impossible," Jiwoo whispered. "Humans weren't spacefaring 50,000 years ago. We were still hunter-gatherers on Earth." They spent hours reviewing more files. The evidence was overwhelming. The feared warriors of the Scourge Wars, called the Destroyers in many records, were physically identical to modern humans. Taemin ran comparison tests. "Commander, there's a 98.7% genetic match to modern human DNA." "How is this possible?" Jiwoo asked, her voice barely audible. The answer came from files describing the end of the wars. The Concord ancestors hadn't destroyed the destroyers. They had modified them genetically and isolated them on a protected world, Earth. "They put our ancestors in a cage," Jiwoo said, her hands shaking with anger. "They rewrote our DNA and watched us develop from scratch." "Not just that," Taemin added, pointing to newer records. "They've been monitoring us for millennia. They've intervened multiple times to slow our development when we got too close to rediscovering space travel." Jiwoo remembered the strange incidents in human history, the burning of the Library of Alexandria, the Dark Ages after Rome fell, the mysterious disappearance of ancient technologies. Why not just destroy us? She wondered. Taemin found that answer in the oldest files. Some ethical disagreement. A faction of the ancient Concord believed in redemption. They thought the destroyers could evolve into something better if given time and the right environment. "And now we're back," Jiwoo said quietly. "No wonder they're afraid." They discovered more disturbing facts. The genetic modifications weren't just to make humans forget their past. They had dampened specific traits: aggression, cunning, adaptability in combat situations. Yet even in their tamed state, humans still showed these qualities more strongly than any current Concord species. As the station's day cycle began, they carefully erased all traces of their research and returned to the Pathfinder. "What do we do with this information?" Taemin asked. Jiwoo looked out the viewport at the massive Concord station. "Nothing, for now. We're here to establish relations, not confront them with ancient history." Their conversation was interrupted by an urgent message from the ship's communications officer. "Commander, you need to see this. Reports are coming in from across Concord space. Multiple systems under attack by an unknown force." On the emergency channel, reports flooded in of a species called the Wreck Horde, dormant for millennia, now launching coordinated strikes against unprepared Concord worlds. Jiwoo and Taemin exchanged knowing glances. Perhaps they were about to find out if humanity had truly been tamed after all. The warning sirens blared across Nexus 7, the research station where Jiwoo's team had been studying the ancient archives. Red emergency lights flashed as panicked scientists of various species rushed through the corridors. "All personnel to emergency shelters," boomed the station's AI. "This is not a drill. Wreck horde vessels detected on approach." Jiwoo grabbed her communication device. "Pathfinder, this is Commander Jiwoo." "What's happening?" The ship's pilot responded through static. "Commander, we're detecting multiple hostile ships entering the system. The Concord Defense Fleet is engaging, but they're overwhelmed. We've been ordered to evacuate, but we can't dock with the station while it's under attack." "Understood. Protect the ship. We'll find another way out." Jiwoo turned to her team of 12 humans who had been scattered throughout the station researching the archives. "Security Chief Sung, gather our people in Section 4. That's the most defensible position with access to escape pods." Sung nodded, grimly. "Yes, Commander." As they moved through the station, they witnessed chaos. Most Concord species had little experience with actual combat. Their military existed mainly for ceremonies and minor peacekeeping. A massive explosion rocked the station. Jiwoo steadied herself against a wall as the lights flickered. "They've breached the outer hull," reported Taemin, checking his scanner. "Boarding parties detected in Sections 2 and 3. They reached Section 4 to find several alien scientists huddled in fear. One, a tentacled being named Dawes, approached Jiwoo. "The wreck will kill everyone," Dawes said, trembling. "They don't take prisoners." Jiwoo looked at the frightened aliens, then at her small team of humans. A strange calm settled over her. "We need to barricade this section. Taemin, can you reroute power to create a barrier field at the main entrance?" "I can try." "Sung, inventory. Anything we can use as weapons." The security chief nodded. "Most of our actual weapons are on the Pathfinder, but I can improvise." Within minutes, the humans transformed the research lab into a defensible position. They fashioned crude weapons from lab equipment and positioned themselves strategically. The alien scientists watched in confusion and wonder. "Have you done this before?" asked Dawes. Security Chief Sung smiled grimly. "No, but somehow it feels familiar. The first attack came within the hour. The wreck, insectoid creatures with exoskeletons and forearms, broke through the outer barricade only to be met with a trap of superheated steam from rerouted coolant pipes. Their confusion gave the humans time to attack from unexpected angles. "They're retreating," shouted Sung after the brief skirmish. Jiwoo knew better. "They're regrouping. They didn't expect resistance." The station's surveillance system captured the battle and broadcast it across Concord emergency channels. In command centers throughout Concord space, military leaders watched in astonishment as 12 humans held a position that veteran Concord forces had failed to defend elsewhere. The wreck returned with greater numbers. Each time the humans adjusted their tactics. When the wreck adapted to one strategy, the humans shifted to another. They used psychological warfare, creating diversions and false targets. They fought with a ferocity that shocked both allies and enemies. "They adapt too quickly," a wreck commander hissed as another assault failed. Their words captured by the station's translation systems. "These creatures fight like the demons of old legends." For 6 grueling hours, the small human team protected not only themselves, but the alien scientists. 3 humans fell, but they took dozens of wreck with them. When Concord reinforcements finally arrived, they found the remaining humans standing amid the wreckage, bloodied but unbowed. The alien scientists they had protected stared at them with new understanding and fear. In the Concord Council chambers, the footage from Nexus 7 played on repeat as members argued furiously. "You see what they are capable of," shouted one counselor. "Even without training, without proper weapons, they fought like the destroyers of old," finished High Counselor Vex quietly. "Yes, this is exactly why they were contained, and Elder Counselor named stepped forward. "Perhaps, but the wreck have already taken 3 major systems. Our forces are retreating everywhere." Vex looked troubled. "What are you suggesting?" That we may need what only the humans can provide, said Urs. Even if it means unleashing what we once contained. Jiwoo stood before the emergency session of the Conquered Council. Her uniform still showed signs of the battle on Nexus 7, with dried blood staining the sleeve. She had refused to change, wanting the Council to see the reality of war they had avoided for so long. The Grand Chamber was filled with representatives from all 37 member species. Screens around the room displayed real-time updates of Wreck Horde advances across conquered space. 3 more systems have fallen while you debate, Jiwoo said, her voice steady. Earth offers military assistance. High Counselor Vex shifted uncomfortably. We appreciate the offer, Commander, but you're afraid, Jiwoo finished. Afraid of what we might become if we fight. Murmurs spread through the chamber. An elder counselor named Urs stepped forward. His species was ancient, with skin like bark and eyes that had seen millennia pass. We cannot risk unleashing what we once contained, Urs said. You don't understand what's at stake. Then tell me, Jiwoo demanded. Tell me the whole truth. My team found records in your archives, but I want to hear it from you. Silence fell over the chamber. The counselors looked to each other, a silent debate happening through glances and subtle gestures. Finally, Urs sighed, a sound like wind through old trees. Your kind weren't just contained, Commander. You were modified. Modified how? Jiwoo asked, though she already knew the answer. Your ancestors' capacity for violence was unprecedented, said Urs. Not just their ability to fight, but their desire to perfect warfare itself. They turned conflict into an art form. Another counselor added, the ancient records call them the Destroyers. They nearly ended galactic civilization. So you changed. Us, Jiwoo said. You played with our genes and dumped us on Earth to start over. Urs nodded slowly. Some wanted your species eliminated entirely. Others believed you deserved a chance at redemption. The compromise was containment and modification. And yet, said Vex, even in your dampened state, you show combat instincts and adaptability that our species evolved away from millennia ago. What your team did on Nexus 7 should have been impossible. A new alert sounded through the chamber. Another major Concord world had fallen to the wreck. The tactical display showed Concord forces retreating across multiple fronts. You tried to make peace with the universe, Jiwoo said, watching the displays. That's admirable, but some enemies don't want peace. What would humans do differently? Asked Vex. Everything, replied Jiwoo. Your military thinks like your diplomats, directly, predictably, logically. The wreck expect that. They count on it. And humans? We think sideways. We use deception, psychology, unexpected angles. We don't just adapt to new situations, we create new situations that force the enemy to adapt to us. Another alert sounded. The room fell silent as they watched a wreck fleet overwhelm the defenses of a major Concord. Homeworld. We will accept human tactical advisors only, Vex finally announced. No direct combat roles. Your people will guide our forces but not fight themselves. Jiwoo sensed leverage in their desperation. In exchange for full Concord membership, not observer status. The council erupted in protests. For species that had feared humans for millennia, the idea of full membership was shocking. We can discuss the details once the crisis is resolved, Vex hedged. No, Jiwoo stood firm. Those are our terms. Full membership now, or we return to Earth and let you handle this alone. As another alert signaled the fall of a major conquered world, Vex looked at the tactical displays, then back to Jiwoo. Very well. Humanity will be granted full membership in the Galactic Concord effective immediately. Then send us your best military commanders, said Jiwoo. My security chief Sung will coordinate the human advisors. As she left the chamber, Jiwoo found Tark waiting in the corridor. They fear what you might awaken in yourselves, the avian diplomat said quietly. Jiwoo nodded. Maybe they should be more afraid of what the wreck will do if we don't. Security Chief Sung stood in the Concord War room, surrounded by alien commanders who watched him with a mixture of hope and fear. The holographic display showed the advancing wreck forces, now controlling nearly 20% of Concord space. "Everything you've been doing is wrong," Sung told them bluntly. "You deploy your forces like you're playing a game with agreed-upon rules. The wreck don't care about your rules." The commanders looked offended, but they couldn't argue with the results. Their conventional tactics had failed at every turn. "What do you suggest?" asked Fleet Commander Kell, a tall being with silvery skin. "Stop thinking about technology and start thinking about psychology," said Sung. "The wreck expect you to behave logically, so don't." Under Sung's guidance, the Concord forces began to transform. Instead of direct engagements, they started using hit-and-run tactics. They created false targets and decoys. They spread misinformation the wreck would intercept. Most importantly, they became unpredictable. At the Battle of Taurus Nebula, Sung's strategy shocked both allies and enemies. A small contingent of ships appeared to retreat in disarray, drawing the wreck fleet deep into the nebula's dust clouds. There, hidden Concord forces waited in ambush. The wreck, accustomed to predictable opponents, found themselves surrounded. Now, Sung ordered, the trap closed. The wreck lost 30% of their fleet in less than an hour. For the first time since the war began, the wreck were forced to retreat. The victory spread hope throughout conquered space. More importantly, it spread fear among the wreck. They had never faced an enemy that thought like this. The decisive moment came 3 weeks later. Intelligence identified the wreck command ship, where their hive mind coordinated the invasion. Conventional wisdom said it was impossible to reach, protected by layers of defenses and an entire fleet. "We don't need to fight through their defenses," said Sung. "We need one small ship with volunteers willing to sacrifice everything." When Sung himself volunteered to lead the mission, Jiwoo tried to talk him out of it. "This is suicide," she argued in her quarters. "Probably," Sung admitted. "But what choice do we have? The wreck adapt quickly. Our advantage won't last forever." The mission launched the next day. A single small vessel, modified to look like a damaged wreck scout ship, slipped through enemy lines. Sung and 5 other humans, along with 3 alien volunteers, piloted the ship directly toward the wreck command vessel. The Concord watched through remote feeds as the small ship docked with the massive wreck command center. For 20 minutes, nothing happened. Then a series of explosions tore through the wreck vessel. The wreck hierarchy collapsed without central coordination. Within days, their forces began to fragment and retreat. The cost was high. Sung and his team never returned, but their sacrifice saved billions across conquered space. 1 month later, Jiwoo stood before the council as they formally lifted the ancient prohibition. "Humanity is welcomed as full members of the Galactic Concord," Vex announced to the assembled representatives. "Your unique perspective will be both valued and monitored." After the ceremony, Elder Urs approached Jiwoo privately. "Do you understand now?" he asked. "Do you see why your kind was forbidden from our conflicts?" Jiwoo nodded. "Not because we were dangerous enemies, but because war itself changes when humans participate," Urs finished. "We contained you, not fearing you would destroy us, but that you would make us more like you. And is that so terrible?" Jiwoo asked. "War in human hands becomes art." "Terrible, effective art," said Urs. "What we fear most is not that you will destroy our enemies, but that you will change us." After seeing what Security Chief Sung accomplished, many young Concord members now wish to study human military history. They want to think like you. Jiwoo looked out at the stars through the council chamber's massive window. "Perhaps that's not entirely bad. The universe isn't always a peaceful place." "Indeed," agreed Urs. "But remember this, Commander. We modified your genes once to make you forget what you were. We cannot do so again." As Earth's ships joined the Concord fleet, the galaxy watched with both hope and trepidation. Humanity had been forbidden from war not because they couldn't fight, but because no one could fight like them.